I'm Orlando Jones, and I just want you to know that the Moana Nui podcast will be starting soon. Stay tuned, yo.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Moana Nui podcast. We're so glad for you to join us on this very special episode this evening. As you probably saw from our posts and everything, tonight we're going to be doing a special con spotlight. But before we get started, we'd like to welcome everyone to the show. And of course, with this being May 1st, would like to first shout out, this is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So throughout the month of May, Moana Nui podcast will be doing different conversations about various topics that it connects to the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community, but a lot of the conversations is things that anybody can tie in. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about genealogy, and we're having some people. We had part 1 last week, and we're going to have part 2 tomorrow to dive deeper into what you can do to help trace your genealogy and really find the resources that are out there that can help you track your genealogy as you make your family tree and find who's part of your family and things like that. So definitely tune in tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for our conversation on that. And now I would like to introduce our special co-host for this evening, our moderator for tonight's conversation. He's a familiar face and family of the Moana Nui podcast, hailing from Long Island, New York. Malachi Bailey has always been unabashedly a lover of books. His passion for superhero stories paved the way to online superhero role-playing, where he developed his craft. He is currently the writer and creator of the amazing, impeccable book and comic Her that is currently out there. The novel series you can find on Amazon. Go ahead and purchase today. And the comic you can find with Wingless Comics. Let me go ahead and welcome Malachi Bailey. Welcome,
Hello.
Malachi.
Hello, Dana. You give the most marvelous introduction.
We'll have to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, just bless it. It's good to be back. It feels like it's been what 2 years? I'm guessing.
Yes, it's been 2
long,
years
right?
since you've done the Malachi's Corner.
Yeah, so this was long overdue, but I'm glad that we chose this occasion to allow me the opportunity to dust off the shelves. We do have 2 special guests, 2 good friends of mine that I love to harass, on a somewhat daily basis. So they have great news they want to share with us. I'm going to bring them in so they can do their introductions. And yes, welcome, guys. How y'all doing?
And I'm going to hand it over to Val.
Tremendous.
Take over.
I'm glad that you guys made the time for little old me to spotlight a project that you guys are doing. But before we get into that, I want you guys to let the people know who are watching who you are exactly.
Go first, Greg. No, they already know.
Yes, Greg is like, a comic book creator. But hey, let's Greg do it.
They already know me, man. Y'all know.
Man, they don't know you. Go ahead.
They do. Many times I've been on this here show. My name is Greg Burnham. I write comic books and stuff like that. I'm also, partnering up with this smiley guy right here to do this amazing Atlantic Comic Con. They already know me.
Greg, you're being modest. You have quite the resume. Please elaborate.
I mean, I did, I do this book with Marcus Williams, Tuskegee Heirs. I've done a few things with DC Comics over the last year, like three. I got another series, Little Rock Files. I just make a lot of books and children's books. I'm trying to do more children's books. So released my third one, Swim Kelly Swim, that's doing pretty well. But we're gonna get ready to try to make a push and make it do better.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Well, I'm Derron Flood. I'm just a fan. I don't create anything. I'm a longtime fan of just comic book lore for about 30 years now. Uh, I have a very extensive comic book collection, and I guess that's where all of this starts at. I remember going to small conventions and mini malls and regular malls and partnering up with a creator to create a convention is like a dream come true. So that's how I'll introduce myself as a fan and a visionary. Beyond that, my day job is fitness. I am a personal trainer and I own a gym in Norfolk, Virginia. Um, I've been a trainer for about 11 years, and I've been a gym owner for about 9 years. So that's pretty much my resume. Fitness and fandom. Oh, I like that. That's a
That needs to
tagline.
go on a
That's
mug
a
or a
tagline.
t-shirt or something.
Look, fitness and
I like
fandom. Yeah, fitness and fandom is my tagline. Maybe I need to change my headline from the
Yeah,
Harbinger.
that it was so smooth, and it was delicious.
He's been practicing that for like 3 weeks.
No, I won't.
Yeah, I think you were
When you that guy, man, it
It
just
just
comes like
came like
that.
that.
fandom.
I'm
That
talking
is,
about.
we
I
gotta
know he
talk.
ain't
I
no
want to see
creator.
shirts. I want to see mugs. Something to that effect.
Right.
But I'm glad that you guys are both on the show for obvious reasons. I'm a big supporter and fan of both of you guys as a consumer and as a good friend. But I love that you guys are doing something that is meaningful. And of course, we'll get into that in a little bit later. But this is huge. I can't stress that enough. You think about the Black creative space, and it's growing. It's getting more recognition, it's getting more acknowledgement, but it's still very small. And what you guys are doing, you know you're carving your name into history. You guys are making sure that when you're long gone, this will be something that will remain. So that's very cool. So, and that's going to bring me to my next question. Since we are talking about things that are just uh, wholly Black or Black centric, the term blurred has been a buzzword for the last, we'll say, about 5 years or so. Um, like Duran, I think for us in our age group, that was definitely not a word growing up. Um, Even probably into our 20s, like it didn't exist.
No.
And you know, we're the generation where we remember when the first X-Men cartoon came out back in 1992, right? We were sitting in front of the TV at 11 o'clock Saturday mornings, right? So to be a nerd or comic book fan, it wasn't always something that was, hey, Marcia, uh, and so true, blackity black, 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 as I was saying. Uh, that was something that wasn't it wasn't really encouraged either. So if you were a nerd, it's like you got bullied. Um, Probably not like slam into lockers, because that's like that's after school special. Shows on ABC. But you definitely felt different, and that's why I always appreciated how Derron has always been unapologetic when it comes to his blurtiness. So, with that said, how would you define a blurred?
You first, Greg.
It's these young people terms. I mean, I guess it's a black nerd. Like you want more. I don't know. I don't hate that word or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like for me it's kind of simple. It's like black people that are into nerdy stuff, but not just any nerdy stuff. Like not eating boogers and stuff like that, but more so, like I'm sorry, Malachi, I got you.
Eating boogers, bro. You are wild.
That's not going on a t-shirt.
Yeah, like not
Or
that kind of nerd. Not the kind that don't put on deodorant to go to comic conventions. Those to me aren't blurs. It's more of these people who embrace their fandoms, like you said, unapologetically. They have fun with it. But it's so much because you got the people that like Harry Potter, like Star Wars. Like there's so many fandoms, so it's just like embracing those, but still being cool. Being cool.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the boogers.
I'm just saying, man, you gotta differentiate. You don't want
I feel like a
everybody
lump fries
to
in my
be
throat.
feeling good about themselves, do you?
And I was telling Deron earlier how, when you go to a packed con and people so they're sleeping out, in front of the convention. They can't afford a hotel. That's understandable because the hotels are crazy expensive, especially during con season. So they camp out and they mysteriously forget to bring deodorant or toothbrush or anything like that. And I remember when I went to New York Comic Con, so we're going back. This is like 2011. I went to one of the panels they had about the X-Men, and the smell, the BO, it was so intense. And I'm trying not to relive it actually because it's been so long, but it was like my eyes started to water and I started to get a headache. And I was like, I'm about to start cussing here. It was like, what is that? And then I didn't know it was a person. I didn't know a person could smell that bad. And then when we were getting ready to leave after the panel, and I'm like, my hands were like shaking and bloodshot eyes. And I had like, my head was throbbing, and then he went to like reach for something, and I got a whiff of his armpit. That
He hit you with the full force.
after an open wound that was under his arm, I nearly passed out. You know how like in the anime when they go crazy and you see that the blood comes out like a little spiral and they fall down? That was me. That was me. So I don't know how we got in this tangent. Oh, yeah, we're talking about boogers. Yeah.
Boogers.
And VO. Yeah, thank you for letting me let that. Derron, what is your definition of blurred, and how do you see yourself as a blurred?
So I talk about this a lot because I lived a very atypical childhood. As you guys know, I was a very good athlete, exceptional. And don't be coughing, Greg, because look, I felt.
I never.
Look, don't be doing like don't
I'll
do
never
too
see
much on
down
the
your
cough,
your athleticism. That was a
And
genuine
so,
cough.
as you know, especially being a black person, culturally, we prioritize sports. It's a big part of our culture. It's almost synonymous with blackness. Being in the arena. So and even like the fandom. Growing up in Norfolk, Virginia, we didn't have access to nerdy things, the arts, and so all kids participated in some type of sport. magnet schools or anything like that. We just didn't have that type of access. So culturally, you were a misfit if your interest didn't lie into something that revolved around sports. And so I actually was the guy who, even though I was extremely athletic, I've always been the guy that people ask me about, comic books, about anime, about video games, anything nerdy. I was a guy playing RPGs. I was a guy that was a Pokemon fan. You know what I mean? Like learning the first 250. Like it was a goal of mine to go to school and, tell people like, you don't know the first 250 of Pokemon. Like I was into that. And so I was almost shielded by that, that harassment, if you will, when it came to that, because I was Mr. Popular. I was the cool guy. And so I navigated in both spaces a lot. And I also took up for both spaces a lot because I was like literally the only guy that was super nerdy and super athletic. And so it really didn't affect me. But as you guys know, I'm a very proud person. Anything that I'm involved in, I'm loud about it. I want people to know about it. And like that intersectionality really, you
You see
know,
that comment? He ran with his arms behind him till the 7th grade.
Mike, Mike. And so, like,
Is it true?
no,
Okay.
I didn't run like an anime character. You said I was running like the anime characters, and so like I really didn't deal with that. And I also noticed that like being in a locker room and things like that, there was always the interest, but people just weren't outward about it. So whenever it came to anything superhero wise, they always come to me, Flo, who's better, who's stronger, who's faster? And I'm just like, y'all are interested in it. Just come on into the fold, man. You know what I mean? Like it's all good. But everybody wanted to be cool. You know what I'm saying? And I never care. As you guys know, whatever I'm into, I want people to know that I'm into it, and I want people to join in. That's why I'm big on spaces that are exclusive and then also inclusive at the same time, for particularly us, because I do understand when I am navigating in them spaces, people who look like you and I, um, small amount of folks. You know what I mean? Like I remember going to conventions and there were literally 10 black people out of thousands, thousands. And that leads me to how I like met Greg initially. When I got back into comics, because it's a tug of war, I'm always, I'll be a hardcore collector and reader for 5 years, and then I'll take some time off for 5 years, and then I'll go back into it for 10 years, and then I'll take 2 years off. And so this last round, I think it was maybe about 10 years ago, I was looking
Not
for,
long. 10 years.
yeah, about 13, 14, right? Had to be.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I got introduced to him by another creator, Wally, out of North Carolina. And he was just like, look, man, if you're looking for great creators, this is one of the guys that you need to, get acquainted with. And so I met Greg and we've been cool. He has shoddy musical, like it just we go back and forth about music all the time, but he's a solid guy. And we decided we was going to do something special, and I don't know if that's going to segue into another
I'm building up the anticipation. So here's the thing, like Greg, I am also a storyteller. So we're planting the seeds, we're building up the anticipation until the big reveal.
Right.
So my next question for you all, and you pretty much touched on it briefly, but what was the catalyst for you discovering your blurtiness? Greg, you go first, please and thank you.
So, back in the 1970s, when I was being alive and stuff, like as a kid, like everybody loved Star Wars. Everybody loved, I was an athlete too, not a great athlete like this guy, but I was pretty solid. So I always, toggled between, but it was like we weren't. I'm trying to remember when you had to make these clear like lines where it's like I'm either this or I'm that. Because I know one of the most gangster dudes that I've ever met. He had a clubhouse with tons of comic books and guns. There would be guns there too.
Yeah, hold on, wait, that is quite a conversation.
It's really for real, man. And it's like he had the posters, and he'd be like, if he saw that you were interested, because we had real OGs, like OGs that would stop you from doing the stuff that they're doing, instead of trying to, bring you in. So he's like, man, you ain't, I see you, you out here hooping with your Star Wars shirts on. And, he's like, you can read some of this stuff, just don't be telling people, So it's like I was, a huge fan of Star Wars, G.I. Joe. I got my first black action figure, Stalker. I'm looking because I got a huge version of him right here.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's the camera there. So
he is big. Like,
yeah, no, he's huge. The one that I had was, just a little, 3-inch down or whatever. But yeah, so it was just like it's always been a part. Like, I remember, telling people I couldn't go outside. I'm in trouble just because I wanted to stay in the house and play Star Wars or G.I. Joe with my brother, So it's like, I don't know if there's ever a time where it wasn't part of, everything, like my daily life. I will say, and I had this question, a similar question on this amazing panel I did this past weekend. And I can say, I remember when The Last Dragon came out, because I was kind of like not cool with comics. I didn't like the way Black people were being treated, even when I was a kid. But I remember when The Last Dragon came out, and it was like that movie it captured our, the hip hop culture. It captured like our fandom with kung fu, all that kind of stuff. And even though it seemed a little exploitative, but it was so like dead on for our culture that it was just like, I think that was the first time, like, unapologetically, I'm in the theater like, yeah, that could be me. You know what I'm saying? Because who wanted to be Lando Calrissian? You know what I'm saying? Like, you wanted to be Luke or Han or whoever. You didn't want, so it was like, I think that was that moment. And then later, like, I always have to mention when Arsenio Hall shouted out Brother Man. Like,
oh, wow, okay, so I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
When he shouted, I was like, I mean, that was like pouring like fire into me. In Kansas City, we had a guy, I can't remember the guy's name. He did a book called Omega Man.
Sounds familiar.
My grandmother met him somewhere and just brought the book home one day, because I'm staying, at my grandma's for the summer or whatever. And she just brings home the book and she's like, look at this. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And she's like, it's a Black man that did this. I'm like, say what?
We did?
Like, wait, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, no, I met him. I'm like, take me back there.
All right.
So, there was like all of these micro aggressions that really, made me, like lock in at like a different level. But I remember when I was 5, us moving back to the United States from England, and I had and I had
you know he was European.
I'm not European.
I think he was regular Black.
I was born in Alabama. That's a different story. But yeah, we moved to England when I was super little. So when we're moving back to the United States, I'm 5 now, and I got this big ass Spider-Man doll type of thing. He's not even, it wasn't plastic, and he had Velcro on his hands, so he could climb blankets and stuff. That's it, blankets and woolly clothes. But I just can't remember a time, where I haven't been into animation, into comics, sci-fi. Like it's never existed.
Derron?
Two things jump out to me more than anything, and I mean this goes without saying. X-Men the animated series. I remember the very first episode. Like I remember the ending of the first season.
Mhm.
I was so distraught because I could not wait for another season. And so that's what actually catapulted me into comic book collecting because I had to figure out what was going on.
Was gonna.
Right? Like I was just like, there's no way I'm waiting 3, 4, 5, 12 months to, you know what I'm saying? And so X-Men the animated series did it for me. And I mean, you know, that segued that whole era, early 90s, mid 90s, Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, the animated series. I mean, just, that was like the golden age
It
of
was.
animated superheroing. And I just fell in love with all of that. And that pretty much made me an avid comic book collector. Uh, Relentless. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
any superhero that I halfway liked, I needed to figure out how I can get my hands on back issues and ongoing series. Like that was it. The other thing, and I know actually this ties into what we have going on. Final Fantasy VII. It's a Japanese role playing game, and I still think to this day it's the greatest video game that I've ever played. And again, kids in the area, we weren't playing games like that. You know, everything was Madden, everything was NBA Live, Game Breaker, Joe Montana, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And so like to play role playing games was unheard of, you know what I mean? But like I fell in love with that game and like it really opened me up to like role playing games, adventure games, and like I just started branching off. And at that point, so definitely the mid 90s was like the time for me to know that I was like, okay, this is where my interests lie beyond uh oh, okay, John. Yeah, that's where, you know, I really found out that I liked atypical things.
okay. So, my next question, since we are discussing comic books to a certain extent, Greg, who's your favorite superhero and why?
So
Greg, watch it. We're live. Don't say who I think. Please. If you want
I'm
me to run, just please.
I don't even know what
I'm
you're talking.
curious now.
So it's weird, man, because like through life, Spider-Man and Black Panther were like my two favorites. Um, but then Miles Morales came along. Um, I love Miles, but I love Static. It's hard for me to say just one. Um, I'm a Batman fan. Um,
The
I,
face.
I got to write Superman recently for DC, so you
You
know
wrote who?
Clark Kent Superman.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I respect what he's done for the game, but I wouldn't say he's like my favorite. But yeah, T'Challa is probably going to be my favorite, even though I don't always enjoy what they do with him.
yeah, we're not going to discuss the previous volume of Black Panther. Was
Which
it
previous one? Because there's huh?
That wasn't the last one. Eve.
Eve Ewing was the last one, and
No, so no, the one before her.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. John Ridley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I didn't even get past the fourth issue on that one. After
I
I
was
was just like, bro,
I
this
was
is
hitting Derron. I'm
I
like, can you tell me
tried.
what happened? Because I'm out.
I tried so hard to enjoy it, but the artwork was really bugging me, especially when they had Storm guest star, and I was looking closely at her hair, and I was like, "You guys just did like 3 lines, and then you had like this little white puff," and I'm like, "You guys didn't take any time to give her a nice textured look." and then she looked so hard. I was like, what is this? Like, I'm not
It was
enjoying.
the writing for me. I don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't mind if the writing is where it needs to be. It can be literally stick men in there just doing
I
whatever
can't
they
help.
want to do. No, you can't. Well,
No, I need it. I need it to be like a two-part.
yeah,
I want to read it and I want to enjoy the pictures.
right.
If the writing is crappy, but the art is nice, like okay, I'm not getting what I need, and vice versa. No, I need more than stick figures. I didn't pay $3.99 for stick figures. Now, I want some three-dimensional looking artwork, and I want the colors to pop.
I think art, like it, I can live without amazing art. Like if the story's good, like Derron said. Um, I didn't have time to critique the art because I had other issues. But I don't want to talk about all that. I just
That's cool.
I like what Eve did, and I'm loving this Ultimate Black Panther right now.
I still got to read it. I heard amazing things about it. Amazing.
Yeah. I got the third issue, but I haven't read it yet. So I need to get my life together.
I'm still trying to warm up to Storm's, look in this universe. I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but that could be a whole different show about me and Storm. So we're not going to do that here.
Yeah.
Not going to do that.
If y'all don't know, Malachi likes Storm a little bit.
For those who don't know me, if I'm ever like kidnapped and I do a status that says I hate Storm or Alexandra Shipp is my favorite Storm actress, then it's very worried for me.
It's time for us to mobilize.
Yeah, please come find me because I'm in some ditch somewhere. But anyway, Derron, who's your favorite superhero?
Nighthawk. Raymond Kane's Nighthawk. He's everything that I want in a superhero. Obviously, if you could tell by my name, underneath my title, underneath my name, he's a vigilante, and he is definitely for Black folks. A lot of times, specifically, intentionally, and exclusively, and I enjoyed that about him. Shout out to the big brother David Walker for creating that wonderful story. That is still to this day my favorite comic book story of all time. A close second to him is Manifold, the X-Man.
Yeah.
I love Manifold. He doesn't get his just due, but when he is in comics, he's dynamic, and that too, he's culturally everything that I want in a character. So those would be my top two: Nighthawk and Manifold, the X-Men.
So with Manifold, because I know that you may be a little behind with the X titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has a big role in the current Fall of the House of X / Rise of the Powers of 10. It is pretty epic what they're doing with him.
So aesthetically, what does he look like now? Because I really didn't appreciate the X-Men Red look. Did they go back to the?
I think that's still the current look,
okay,
more or less. But I could show you that offline.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a pretty cool character, and I love the fact that he is so powerful. But they said he's not even on Omega level mutants, and he's still that powerful. So that means there's someone who's more powerful than he is. But this is a character who's able to speak to the universe. Hey,
right. It's probably Gateway because he has the same. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Gateway, pretty much the same. And I just tell people when I describe him, he's Nightcrawler on steroids.
Yes. Yeah, that is probably the most apt, way of describing him. I didn't even look at it that way. Right. He's like a cooler Lila Cheney.
Right.
Okay, so let me see. Since we are discussing superheroes and all that entails, we come to the next question that I have for y'all. Favorite villain? Who's the favorite villain and why? Who wants to go first?
Gregory is always going to go first.
Hey, Greg.
Um, so Magneto has typically been my favorite, if you want to call him a villain. When I was young, he was a villain. Now he's the homie. But like Magneto, uh, yeah, really, it would be Magneto.
Okay.
Greg, I just need you to give better answers. You don't give good answers.
What are you talking about?
You give good answers. All right, so here's my answer. Moses Magnum is my favorite villain of all time. He
Okay.
is he is Magneto, but for black folks.
Yes.
Just, I mean, like literally, like Moses Magnum is going to be my answer. And if I could recommend reading, Deathlock had a series in the 90s that was written by, I know Dennis Cowan did the art. I think it may have been Dwayne McDuffie might have wrote that Deathlock series in the early 90s, but that made me fall in love with the Moses Magnum character. So that would be my recommended reading on why. Like, if you want to know why I love the character, read that Deathlock series from the early 90s.
Okay. Because I mean, he was the last time I saw him. It was years ago. He was in an Avengers issue where he fought them back in like late '98 or whatever, and I have not seen him since.
Yeah. Splash in the pan. But he
But you know
speaks.
how it is. What are black characters? But speaking of blackity black, you guys are planning a big event, and I think it's time that we actually touch on that. It's the reason why we are doing this show. It's the reason why that I decided to come out of retirement to be a moderator for this type of deliciousness because you know I do love delicious things. So tell me about Atlanta Comic Con.
Go,
Please.
Greg.
Man, you got this time. You
No,
asked me.
you got it.
And then you told me my answers are bad. So, go
Uh,
on and
uh,
run it. Go on
so
and run it.
we are hosting an all ages comic convention August 17th and 18th at the downtown Sheraton. Um, our comic book convention is something that's been a long time coming, especially for Norfolk, Virginia specifically. Um, to my knowledge, there isn't a comic book convention that has ever been held in Norfolk. But there is an anime convention that is here, and I think this is their first year. But like a comic book convention, this is going to be the first time that it happened. So if you've ever been to a comic book convention, it's basically a celebration of pop culture, nerd pop culture, wrestling, animation, comic books, movies, anything sci-fi, video games, and then cosplay. Um, most if you've ever been to a comic book convention, you'll notice that some conventions kind of cater towards certain fandoms and or experiences. And so how we plan on distinguishing ourselves is through two avenues. That's from the literacy component, which, by way of comics and writing, and then also video games. That's going to be our niche within this whole industry. So you can expect to play a lot of video games and be exposed to a lot of talented writers and artists, a lot of them, and a lot of video games. We're going to have workshops. We'll have creative writing workshops. We're going to have technical writing workshops. We're going to have artistry workshops. We'll have Q&As with very distinguished and accomplished guests. And we'll also have tons of video games, free play video games, and we'll also have tournaments. We haven't revealed what video game tournaments that we're going to be having, but you can expect to play competitively if that's your avenue. And so it's all inclusive. It's a 2-day event. It's going to be something that you guys have never experienced before. And I'm really excited that Greg has decided to do this with me. Um, I'm honored, and he was literally the first person that I thought of when it came to doing this, because he's already, working the cons. He knows everybody, and I said, you know what? I can't do an entire convention by myself.
Yeah, that would be
I
insane.
figured, I'm going to find somebody who can help me out with it, and Greg is signed up, and I'm fortunate. And we're going to bring a once in a lifetime experience to Norfolk, Virginia, August 17th and 18th.
That's what I would like to hear. What do you want to add to it, Greg? Anything
Uh,
else?
that was good, man. So like we've, hit these conventions. We all go to BlurredCon pretty much every year, right? Um,
Indeed.
DreamCon I did last year, and it's like I got to go back this year. Um, so the importance of having these spaces, and these spaces are not exclusive, like to where only like some people aren't welcome. Anybody's welcome. Like our goal is to highlight like a lot of this talent that just gets kind of like Alethea. Like I got to eat dinner. We went to dinner in New York with Alethea. Like this is like real. She yeah.
For those who
I
may
mean,
not know who
I
she is,
Alethea
just give us a
Martinez
quick blurb.
has been working in comics for 20 plus years. She's a fantastic illustrator. She recently got her first writing credit in this DC Power book. Boom, because I come with
Very
these
nice.
here. I also have a story in here, Mr. Terrific story, but that's not the point. But yeah, so it's like getting to sit down and like be in these spaces with some of these people who would absolutely be held as rock stars if we weren't considered in the minority. Like if you just look at her catalog, or you just look at her art, either one,
I love
Right.
it's telling you something. We have Larry Stroman and Todd Johnson, like they created Tribe. Like
Mhm.
where would we be? Like where would I be? If not for cats like them. Because we didn't even like when we started. Working for like the big two or the big three wasn't even in our plans. We was like, no, we seen people do it, and we're gonna do it too. You know what I mean? So, um, just a great group of people. We also have like some really talented like local, because that was one of our initiatives, is that we wanted to make sure that we are bringing, that we're highlighting local talent, like some of the young talent. Maybe we can help you in your journey, towards, becoming what you want to be as an artist or a writer. So all of it. And just, I think that feeling, we know what that feeling is from being at BlurredCon, or,
Yeah.
last weekend at the Schaumburg, that feeling that you're welcome, that you're supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real thing. I went to an HBCU, so I got to live it for a good, a nice little portion of my life. And we just want that. Everybody's welcome. Everybody feel like your cosplay is legit. You can cosplay who you want and not have to worry about somebody saying, "Hey, that's you're not white. You can't do that character."
Exactly. I hate that so much when I see
Yeah,
that.
and it's really real. Like it's
Yes, yeah.
still happening to this day at major conventions. So yeah, we just want like let the walls down and just have a good time.
I think it's so important that we had that space. But with that said, my friends, and you touched on it, previously, what would set Atlanta Comic Con apart from the others?
So I think part of it is the comic side of it, right? So some of these other conventions that we've had, that we go to, they're great. Some of them are more like party, but this one, and I'm really careful because I love, these black conventions, and I go to as many of them as possible. So I don't want it to
Yeah.
sound like there's any beef or anything, but
Mhm.
just like a really strong um, attachment to comics.
Okay.
Now the Schomburg, they do it really well, but they're, like ours is in a different type of space. Theirs is, at the museum. Ours is at a hotel, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
we might be able to do some fun stuff after hours, make it feel more like a convention.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's like having that, you know, like we have like luminaries, you know, like scholars that are going to come and they're going to educate on, you know, Black comics. And we got some cool people doing workshops, like the whole nine. So we wanted to give, we want the community feel something. We want to make it, you know, some of these cons that we go to aren't really good for kids. So,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know, we want to, you know, try to make sure that it's, you know, like the little ones can enjoy themselves and they don't have to be walking around like this. We aren't, you're not going to be able to have butt cheeks. I mean, you might be able to have to an
I've
extent,
seen that happen.
but we know, you know, what the tasteful type cosplay is. And that's what we're going for. So yeah, comics, kids, families, and you know how it is, man. Like any event that you attend, like the people that are throwing it are fans and they love it. You know what I'm saying? That trickles down.
It does.
I always use MomoCon. That's one of my favorite conventions for that reason. Like if you meet the people who created MomoCon, they're some of the nicest people. They're on top of all their stuff, but they're really good people. And so it trickles down through their show. And that's what we're hoping to do with ours.
Okay.
And just piggybacking off of like the comic book side, there's going to be that, but to my knowledge, I don't think that there's any. We're going to have both. You know, obviously it's going to be multi fandom. Everybody's all anime, all that, but like the big emphasis is going to be on both. You know, I can't stress enough how we're really pushing the video game side as well as the comic side. Um, the free play games, the tournaments. Like I'm going to have to almost remove myself because I want to participate, especially the tourneys that I have in mind. And I'm wildly competitive. Like it's going to take everything in me not to want to participate in those things, because I know what how electric those arenas can be when it comes to competitive gameplay. And I'm really excited for that as well as the comic side.
Okay. I love hearing this. So we do have a question. How did you guys incorporate your favorite aspects of conventions into Atlanticon, and what makes this convention unique and different from other Black-centered conventions?
I think we just kind of answered that, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so some of the stuff that we're really focusing on is making sure the vendor experience is cool. It's we see that at a lot of conventions, like vendors you I don't know if you experienced it, Malachi, but it's like you feel like, oh, they just used me to pay for my table. And
Yeah.
they don't really care about making the vendor space something, that's good for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like so me, my mind state being that I've done a million shows,
You
it's
have.
like I want to make sure that the vendors are making money, right? And I want to make sure that the interactions with the attendees and the vendors, like all of that goes smoothly. But yeah, so that's one of the things. And then just like the panels that we're planning, and the workshops, those are going to be worth admission on their own.
Right.
Mhm.
Like if you, I don't know if you've ever got to like sit down and talk with Larry Stroman. He's entertaining, but he's also, again, what is it, 30, 40 years
Yeah.
business. Like, like every single time I talk to him, we could be talking about nothing and I'm still learning because he's always dropping little nuggets here and there. And then the Black Comic Lords, they're super cool. Paul came through, like we had a good time, and but these guys who just love comics, they're gonna be helping to moderate some of our panels. So it's just, yeah, all the way around, man. We're excited.
So that actually leads into my next question, guys. So you pretty much touched on it, here and there within the last couple minutes, but is it a secret, or can you tell us, who we can expect to be the guest and the panelist?
I can pull up my handy dandy. So of course, Marcus Williams, that's
Yes, of
my
course.
bro. Like that, when we announced him, people was like, I didn't even think that was a question. And I'm like, well, it's not, but we still got to announce it before it becomes a question. So Marcus, we have Larry Stroman, Todd Johnson, Tribe Fellows, Alita Martinez. Let me just pull all of these. David Crownson, who does Harriet Tubman. Some guy named Malachi Bailey.
I don't know this person.
Me either, but Derron, suggested him. I was like, we'll
I
give him a
guess.
shot. We'll give him a shot. Esteemed novelist Jessica Cage is gonna be there. Micah Myers, award-nominated letterer.
You said Micah or Michael Myers?
Micah.
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 Because if he's there, then I'm not.
But I'm not saying that, Michael Myers won't show up. We're not banning anybody on the first run, So who else? And Stephen Harris.
Yes.
Another luminary. He's been doing it a long time. Newton Lillavois,
Yes.
Crescent City Monsters. Michaela Moore, who is our artist. And she's from the area. She's also a super great artist. So, and I think, is that it? Chauncey Dickens is also he's a guest, but he's actually in the field helping us work on some stuff too. And Do You Speak Geek is his platform, so check it out. I've been on a few times. And we got some more potential, coming. But like even the lineup, like our Artist Alley lineup, like some of the people that were applying, I'm like, oh really? Okay. So it's gonna be solid, and we still have time, so we're still working.
I have to announce. I mean, we kind of glossed over, and it's important to me because she was a professor at my old school. So Dr. Kiana Whitted, excuse me, will be there as well. She'll be a panelist. And her expertise is literally comics. She teaches comics at the University of South Carolina. So she's a historian. She is a pillar in the community, and I literally begged her to come on out. I think this is her very first con, so I'm honored that somebody so distinguished decided to give us a chance. And she's also from Virginia as well, so she's from the area, and she said she's looking forward to coming back home and just handing us her expertise and everything. And I'm super excited about that. So yeah, we'll have scholars, literal comic scholars, at the event as well. So yeah.
But there's one person that you announced before, but that's a secret. Okay, then we're gonna keep it a secret because I am horrible when it comes to spoiling stuff. So we're gonna move on to the next question. So, gentlemen, how was it building up this con? Like, how was your experience? Because it couldn't have been easy.
It's an ongoing thing,
right?
I think we're kind of getting settled in because we're realizing who does what well. In the beginning, I think both of us are used to like doing everything, so it's like trying to figure out who takes a step this way, who goes that way. So we're learning each other. He said it about me, but I definitely say it about him. Like I'm happy that he's the person I'm doing it with, because like his passion, like even on the days when I'm like feeling soggy, and he's like, "Yo, guess what I just talked to?
Anyway,
Guess what I, huh?"
He's aggressive anyway, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But
he's like,
he was aggressive.
it's not a bad thing, but he's just like, it's that pit bull, like once he gets the bone, he's just like, I'm not gonna release it.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
but that's good for me.
Don't be upset.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. So, but it's like constantly going. Like we're like everything that's been paid for so far, we paid out of our own pocket. Like all the, the formality type stuff, we've been doing everything, by ourselves. So it's constant. We're learning. I'm sure for year 2, we'll probably be, a better oiled machine. But, a lot of this is learning. I'm grateful that I have like some really cool people who are doing, conventions already. So Hilton has, reached out and shared information. My man Greg Hollows, who does a lot of Southeast conventions, he's always there, So like having people that have already done it, because I ain't trying to ever recreate the wheel. If there's already people that have done it that can tell me how to avoid like certain pitfalls, I need them. So yeah, it's been fun. It's a lot. So even when nothing's happening, your brain is on overdrive. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So I know that you guys have started talking about a Kickstarter in terms of getting the word out there for the con. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the Kickstarter is it's going to be just that. We're going to use it as a pre-order, so you can get your early bird tickets, like badges for the weekend. There's also some sponsorship opportunities. There's some merch opportunities. We're making sure people understand that the convention is going to happen, with or without the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some shows take some tough blows over the last, month or so, like some small shows. So we don't want people to worry. We're going to get this thing cranking, but the Kickstarter is just a way to get like, how powerful Kickstarter can be.
Oh yes.
Marketing and promotion standpoint. So that's a huge reason why we're going to be, doing it.
Okay. So my thing is, so with Kickstarter is because we know that there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to Kickstarters. In terms even, preparing them. I found it really annoying, when we had the certain tiers and then they want tax information and this is all this, necessary but unnecessary, stuff. And then of course you have the actual Kickstarter when you go live and, you're trying to crowdfund. Now, was there a particular like goal that you had in mind for the amount that you want to raise, or
I think there is. We're still in the like I think between 10 to 12,000 would be ideal as a goal. So, you can change it all the way up until you press the button.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to read, like, see what kind of people signing up for the notifications. She says a labor of love mixed with a passion project.
Absolutely, Marcia.
Yeah.
That's what it is, at the crux of it.
But yeah, just overall, we're hoping to raise at least, like between 10 and 12.
Okay. So this is slightly off topic, but this is a question that's posed to Derron. So you are known for your elegant, gala events, and you've been hosting them, on an annual basis. And I know you took off a year so you could focus on, the con. Now, going forward, will you still do both of them, or are you going to like alternate? Like, is there a plan in place? Because obviously, I would attend both because I do want to get dressed up either way. So there's that.
Um, Definitely, I plan on doing both, especially as I get comfortable with the Atlantic Comic Con. My other partner in that business venture is eager, but I mean, not to undermine that. This is personal.
Mhm.
Uh, the nerdiness, like the feeling to create. Well, I didn't even say I said I wasn't a creator, huh? Now here I am talking about.
You
Doing
are.
all this.
All right, the eagerness to create this event, um that was is a huge part of what I am, is wildly important. And uh you know, putting on events, especially in my area, is something that is not new to me. And so like that confidence that things are going to be okay is something that I'm looking forward to, especially when we have a packed out crowd. So, you know, doing everything that I need to do to make sure that both of those can happen within the same year is definitely a goal for me.
I definitely hope that you're able to do both. Um, and I think it's imperative for people to realize when you have a person who is producing a product or a service or an event, teamwork is so important because we're quick to say, oh, I could do it by myself, but we really can't. You know, it takes a village to make sure that when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling like I don't want to go on, like I just, F it, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. Then that's when they lift you up, and that's pretty much that's the spirit of cons in general. They're supposed to give you that source of community, that sense of fellowship. So I do hope that this is a fixture going forward. Um, and that's actually my next question. So for next year's con, because I know we kind of jumping the gun, jumping the gun. Um, what do you guys want to add differently to next year's con? Like, what is something that you want to do?
I don't know.
Man, so listen,
I'm just so nosy, right? Like,
All
no, you asking a question we don't know.
right.
Like,
I don't know.
So there was a couple of things that we kind of tooled around with to see if we could get it to work. There's
Okay.
one that I would
Right.
definitely, but I don't want to
Right. No,
say
we
anything
ain't giving
about
that away.
that, so somebody
Right.
else can steal our idea.
Okay, that makes
I think what the goal is for this one is to put all our lines in the water and then see what actually works. See if there's anything that we do that doesn't work, and kind of go from there. With comic conventions, nothing stays. Most things don't stay the same. I should say some things do, but we're constantly seeing like people innovate and find different ways to get their points across. So we're going to be open, but we're going to just kind of see what stuff works. My goal would definitely, like I said, to have some good commerce being done at the place, for like kids, not just kids, but if you want to learn about character design, we're going to have an excellent character designer do a workshop. If you want to know about the history of comics, like, we just want the people to come to enjoy themselves, and then we'll figure the other stuff out as it goes.
Well, I'm here for it, obviously. And it goes without saying, if there's anything I can do to help you guys with this, I'm only a message or DM away. Um, But yeah, because this is major. This is something that's monumental, and even though it has not happened yet, but you guys need to give yourselves some credit now. Like pat yourself on the back. This is not easy at all. And this is me on the outside looking in, and I'm thinking about, first you got to find, the place to rent out for 2 days. That's not cheap. So you think about contracts, and then it's not going to be right away. So you're going to have to wait maybe 2, 3, and 4 months, if not longer. And then it's like, okay, I need to start procuring the talent. So now, like, mass email. So it's a massive undertaking, but it's not an impossible one, because that's one thing that we've learned as a people. We make the impossible look easy.
Yeah.
So I do have one last question for you guys, and then we could open it up to questions from our eager fans in the audience. Where can we find you on social media?
So I'm on MySpace.
You would stop stop the shenanigans.
Black Planet.
Right. I was gonna steal Black Planet.
Now I'm on the Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter sometimes, Threads sometimes, TikTok every once in a while. Most of the time you could just do Greg Burnham or something like that, and I should pop up.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook, Derron Flood, DERRONFLOOD. And on Instagram at FLOODDR. And if you need a personal trainer or some online fitness stuff, you can find me at Fitness First Training Services on Facebook. Shoot me a DM or personal message. You can get some online training or something.
So I'm glad you said the personal training, because I was on your page earlier today and someone had posted that meme. Like, I need a trainer that says, "Get the hell back."
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, I thought you had said it, because I was like, but I was like, no, it's a meme that they're resharing. I got it.
Right.
For those who don't know, Derron is a superb fitness trainer. He does not pull any punches, and he is not nice about it. but you will look the way you want to when you're done. I'm actually getting back into the gym because it's been a minute. But I remember we had a conversation about 2 years ago when I was getting back into it then. And, I was doing like a little post. Yeah, guys, I'm back in the gym. Yeah, got my shorts on. And then Derron was in a comment section saying, so why did you stop? And I'm like, because life happened. And he was like, okay, well, stay in the gym. I'm like, then I got kind of like nice nasty. It was like, are you gonna be my personal trainer? Are you? And he was like, I think he used the Homer gif of you backing up into like the bushes. Yes, he will get you right. So please check out his social media. Greg is the modest one. Like, this man is a living legend. Like, he has published material with DC Comics, and he has a recent publication. So yeah, this is not just random people, hollering from the sidelines. This is people who are actually doing things. But I'm going to wrap up because it is late. I do realize it is still a weekday. I want to thank you guys for joining me for tonight's show. I'm glad that you guys could squeeze me in, because I know that it's been a very busy, month, even though it's May 1st for everybody. But so yeah, if we have any questions, just shoot us a message. But other than that, everybody, you have a good night, and thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, woo, here I am.
Moana?
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Greg, all three of you, what upcoming con can people see you all at?
That's right, because you're doing the yeah.
So me, you can see me at Challenges, Games, and Comics this weekend for Free Comic Book Day on Saturday. And then I'm doing this show. Ooh, it's in New Orleans. It's Blurred something. I can't remember. It's a one-day show. Shut up. I'm talking to myself. Yeah, I'm gonna be in New Orleans. Derron, talk for a minute.
All right, so you can find me my next like public outing. I will be setting up an Atlantic Comic Con tent at Local Heroes in Norfolk. So if you want to purchase tickets on Free Comic Book Day at Local Heroes in Norfolk, I'll be there. As far as cons is concerned, I'll be at Norfolk Anime Fest. That's May 19th. And so I'll have a booth there. Now, if you want to see all of us, I'm pretty sure we're all going to be at BlurredCon together. So if you want to get the quartet, catch us at BlurredCon. We'll all be together kissing babies, and
I don't kiss no babies anymore.
Malachi giving my candy away to the other guy. Yeah, don't think I forgot. We were talking about that this week.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
I gave it to the other Greg.
Devastating.
That's right. I did give away your candy. Oh my God.
What up, Greg? Okay, so it's called Blurred Fest. It's in New Orleans on the 18th, I think. It's a one-day show, but I'm really excited about it. MomoCon, Dana, you know the girl. So Momo,
one of the blackest cons here in Atlanta.
I'm gonna be at Brooklyn Comic Con in June. That's a bunch of conventions, a lot of them. So
yes,
it sounds like it.
Just follow me, people, and then I'll tell you sometimes. Sometimes I forget.
Okay. Looks like we got one question from Mike from the audience. Can you guys suggest some books of yours that we should look to add to our collection?
Greg, you go first.
So
I'm going to get them. How about that? Be right back.
So I would suggest things that I've done, but like the DC stuff, I think most of it is out right now. Like I don't know if they're gonna do reprints, but I got this Tuskegee Heirs book that I do with Marcus Williams.
Don't sleep on it.
Yeah, don't sleep on it. So this is pretty fun. I do this book. The Story of Solace. I do that with my brother.
Yes.
Happy about that. Where is that one book?
Don't forget the children's book you just released.
I don't have them over here though. So, as
Greg knows, I have everything he's released.
Dana had everything like 5 times over. So, I got this book, Little Rock Files.
Yes.
That's new. Yes. It's an 80s noir detective story.
I love that.
I've heard good things. Yeah, this is Edwin Gallman, who is becoming a rock star. He's on a lot of stuff with DC.
Swim Kelly Swim is his children's book. So if you have a little one, pick that one up from him also. Swim Kelly Swim.
And you can get that.
He also has 3 other children's books too.
And you can order Swim Kelly Swim on Amazon right now. But then there's other I always got to shout out Greg Anderson LSA. We are proof that Gregs are better than everybody else. So I would say get any of his stuff, whether it's Nana or The Gentleman, anything you can come up on. I always shout out Newton Lillebois, Crescent City Monsters, excellent book. Keisha the Demon Eater, excellent book. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. And Papa's Shoes, that's his other children's book. So definitely pick that up.
All right, so y'all ready for my 2 recommendations?
We ready.
Yes, we're ready for you for your recommendation.
First recommendation is Tribe #1 by our guest, our special guest for our show, Todd Johnson and Larry Stroman. This is the ivory variant. Excuse me. So this one right here, I think it's like limited to 200 or 300 copies.
We were signing them. They because we did a book signing this weekend that you didn't come to because you hate us. And had Bulletproof Comics. But yeah, Todd was like, I want everybody to sign, and then they're gonna get them graded. So it was crazy.
Right. So that's a super rare book, and especially if you're into Black comics, that's one that you need for your collection. Now, this one, it's also, it's created by a Black man, and I have my apprehensions about the character and the story, but I still think it's a very important book to have, especially if you're into comic book collections. And so this is Blue Marvel, #1.
Yes, Blue Marvel.
Yeah, Blue Marvel #1. And so it's very low print. And I know that Blue Marvel has a lot of fans. Because he's like wildly popular. I mean, excuse me, wildly powerful. And so, like, that's my other recommendation. So, Tribe and Blue Marvel, created by Black folks, Black characters, amazing story. Well, kind of amazing story here, but the character is amazing.
And Malachi.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, I do have my own books that I've written. The first novel is called Her. The sequel is called Her, Gods and Monsters. And Her #1, the comic book, was released about 2 years ago. So the first two you can find on Amazon.com. If you need a comic book, just hit me up via DM. And of course, since I do represent Wingless Comics, which is in my title, I will encourage you guys to go to our website, which is www. Did I say 3? Yeah, I did 3. winglessent.com. And yeah, that's me.
Okay. Well, for myself, definitely all of what everybody recommended, but I also recommend from my co-host. She has a children book series called The Adventures of Nokoa and Nohea, which teaches both English and Hawaiian in there. So definitely pick it up. They got 3 issues, and great storytelling with that, award-winning. But also for comic book release day today, my co-host Moana is also part of the team of the Lilo and Stitch comic book series. They just released the 3rd issue today, so nice. Pick that up. All 3 issues are out, so go to your local comic book shop. And the anthology that they're doing for Lilo and Stitch, she's also involved with, is on Amazon that you can pre-order. So those are my recommendations. Had to give, since she can't be on tonight, had to give that shout out for her. But once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Definitely, as you can see in your comments and along on the banner at the bottom of the screen, definitely click that save and Kickstarter so you can get notified as soon as the Kickstarter goes live so you can support that. But definitely also go to Atlantic Comic Con's website, atlanticcomiccon.com, to definitely keep a list of everybody that's going to be announced as guests, but also finding out details on how you can purchase your tickets and be involved with the convention, whether being a vendor, an attendee, or just if you want to be a sponsor. Sponsorships are also nice. But once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern as we continue our conversation about genealogy with our panelists, so you can learn how all the resources that are available that you can start tracing your lineage and your background and build that family tree. Because a lot of us are using Ancestry to do our DNA test, but it only tells us where our family is from, but not who's in our family. So definitely tune in. Part 1 is on our YouTube channel, so you can watch that, get some of those tidbits that they gave of how to get started. And tomorrow they're going to dive deeper on stuff that you can look at, and especially if you have any ties to indigenous cultures, some of the stuff that is the trials and tribulations of any one of those cultures of trying to find that person's name or lineage, correct information on them. So they're going to help you, guide you through that. So definitely tune in, definitely like, follow, and hit that notification button so you can know when we go live. And then hopefully soon when Malachi is not so busy, we're going to have him come back from Malachi's Corner to start doing this on a regular with us again.
It has to happen. It certainly does. So we'll link up.
Exactly. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in again. Definitely support Atlantic Comic Con that's coming in August. So we hope you make sure you buy your tickets, support, because we keep hearing from all of you that we want stuff that is centered around us. But if you don't support it, it's not going to happen. So we have to support our conventions. We have a couple big hitters like BlurCon and DreamCon, but we need others that can balance the plate out of having more options for us to choose from, and especially something that may be more centered to what you're looking for. So definitely support this convention and help it grow. So once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. You all have a great evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.